Hi, hello. It's me, Aaron, because this is my channel. That was creepy. If things have worked out the way I've planned them, you should already have seen one video using Adobe Premiere Pro, which is the editing software I'm using, so no more of the stuff you saw in the first two videos. I'm coming to grips with it. Slowly but surely. So I am here to review... Why do I always forget what I'm going to review? Orphan 55, which is the third episode of Doctor Who series... That's 14, series 12. Orphan 55.
The most classy way to drop top you've ever seen. Right, go on then.
Can you remember what happens in it?
Vaguely.
What do you think of Orphan 55?
I thought the episode was forgettable.
Really?
You
thought it was forgettable?
And there was a lot of stuff in it that didn't make any sense. I'll be honest, love. You should be impressed I remember the fucking episode.
Yeah, that is true.
The glaring things I do remember was the fact that what's his name? Probably began with a B.
Benny?
Yeah, that's the one. Was kept alive by the dregs for no explained reason whatsoever. But yeah, also the fact that What's-a-Crackers, the sergeant one, whatever the fuck her name was, killed him, and that was discussed for all of about fucking 30 seconds before it was put down.
If you had to give a rating for episode 3, what would you give it? Out of 10.
I mean, it had its bright sides and stuff, but I'd say probably a 5 or a 6. Nothing special.
It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. It wasn't the best or near the best or even on the best list. But it wasn't the worst. I think the general reaction to this episode has been a little bit extreme. I think people are hailing it as like the new Fear Her. Nothing will be as bad as Fear Her. So the story, the plot, something I admire about this era of the show is, although sometimes it's annoying because we don't get very many details, it is nice they often keep the episodes kind of secretive. So really, most of what we saw in the trailers was from like the first 10 minutes. So the actual episode is quite different to what I was expecting. However, that is a double-edged sword because what I was expecting looked good and what I got was not. The resort was cool. I liked it. I liked the location. Great filming location. But the first 10 minutes are gearing up for this kind of base under siege, maybe a bit of a mystery as to what they are, kind of plot, and then they go off to find the iconic Benny. At least this episode gave us a meme in Benny. And then it just sort of becomes a rather not tense mission to get back to the spa. And then it does kind of become a base under siege story again, but because it's the base is under siege for like all 5 minutes, it's not that great. The writing wasn't terrible. Ed Hine returns. The first, apart from Chibnall obviously, the first returning writer of Jodie's era as the Doctor. Bit of a shame that this is not as good as It Takes You Away. That's very easy to say. I will say now, and most people will agree with me, the editing, what on earth was happening? I think this episode got butchered in the editing room. I don't know, it felt like Ed Hine delivered a script, that script was shot, and then Chibnall or someone somewhere was like, you know what, we actually don't like this story. Let's use the bits, get out my mouth, use the bits to make a different story. As you might guess from that description, didn't turn out great. Also going to say, I feel like I'm getting much more confident in my speaking, and I feel like I'm adding some tone to my voice because I got some notes from my boyfriend, very loving, constructive notes, that my tone was a little bit like flat. There was no difference in what I was saying. It was all at like this level, and yeah, So, actually no, that was actually better than what I said for most of those first two videos. And I'm saying and a little bit less. I'm just sort of leaving empty space so I can edit it out. Just a little off-topic alert. Just thought I'd go off-topic to praise myself there. Back to the plot. Direction, same guy as Spyfall Part 2. Continuing to support my thesis that he is a competent, if not inspired, director. Nothing he shot, well, I'll blame it to editing. Nothing he shot looked bad, let's say. I'm not very confident in that description. But, again, it was just like, the close-up shots of the dregs, again, editing direction, this combo just didn't work. The close-up shots of the dregs were cool at first. It was a cool way to show them off. And then when they showed them off quite vividly, you'll see a whole shot of their whole body, and you saw them quite a lot. Then having these sudden close-ups, it didn't really work anymore because we know what it looks like. And also, they were edited weird. Like, if you want to do a weird, freaky close-up to kind of make it a bit spooky-ooky, Nick Tesla's Night of Terror does it a bit better, where you sort of see, again, still don't like it in the episode, but the skiff thrower kind of comes into shot, and you can kind of see the Queen's body, and then it has a very quick close-up. Having no image of like, not having any shot of the dreg, and then just suddenly going to a close-up, which doesn't even look like it's filmed on the same location sometimes. It was just like, were the suits not available on that day of shooting? Like, what's going on? The Doctor was good. Again, great. The Doctor honestly probably saved this episode for the most part. I think that's one of the reasons I still enjoyed it as a piece of television. Apart from Benny. Oh, that will entertain me. They still, the joke is still going. Love seeing the edited Big Finish audios with Benny on the cover. It just kills me every time. I liked when was it Yaz Orion was like, oh, you know, you'll get you out of your mood. And she was very, very like direct, like bold on record, was like, I'm not in a mood. That's like, because I would expect the 13th Doctor to either react like a sort of joke, like, I'm not in a mood, or kind of like sort of wave it off. But the fact that she was deadly serious, going, I'm not in a mood, I wouldn't push it any further. If I was one of the competitors, I'd be like, okay, let's leave that there. Let's put a pin in that. And then I'm gonna get it over with now. I like the end monologue. It's preachy, but a little bit of politics here. You know, our world is dying, so, you know, sometimes preaching is necessary. And again, although it was better performed, probably better written, I don't see how you can argue that end minute was preachy and then applaud the 15, 20 minute, I don't know if it's even that long, but it was at least 10-minute war speech given by Peter Capaldi in the Zygon Invasion, the Zygon version. You cannot, because yes, maybe you think it's a better speech, but the entire third act of that episode is a monologue. And it's very, again, I love it. I just want to really emphasize, I love that speech, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. I'm sad that element of the story was randomly introduced in the last 10 minutes. They were literally out of nowhere. Oh, Russian sign must be Earth. And why in God's name was that sign Russian when the TARDIS should have translated it? I get why it was in Russian. I hear you. I get why it was in Russian for story purposes. But that is one of those base things that we understand about the show, is the TARDIS translates everything, which is why all the aliens, for some reason, speak English. That's how it works. So the fact that they, like, I don't know, I feel like that's obvious. I feel like if I was writing a Doctor episode, I would immediately, if I was writing something like, oh, we recognise it's a different language, I'd go, hang on, it gets translated. And again, I'm not trying to have a go at Ed Heim. I'm sure he wasn't trying to, like, take a dump on the lore of Doctor Who. But it's a shame that something like that was easily noticeable, and it's the first thing I thought of. Again, I'm a bit of an obsessive fan, so that's probably just me. I like the bit where she gets close up to the dreg. I kind of sensed the idea that she was, like, scared. Like, she didn't want to get up close to the dreg, but I don't know. I will say, though, I don't really know why she did. Unless she suspected they breathe oxygen, although her reaction didn't suggest that. and she was running out of oxygen. I was like, is this really the time to get up close to a dreg? But I guess you wanted to do the mind thing, so. Although I personally don't actually know why she did the mind thing. I feel like she's clever enough that she would be like, well, this is Earth. She figured out it was Earth, and then she'd figure out that these are the remnants of humanity. And maybe the editing made some of these. I don't think that one's to blame for editing, but the editing seems to have effed up a lot of it. It Takes You Away was also, as good as it was also responsible for that. Remember that monster, which I can only describe as the penis face monster. The penis face monster completely edited out of the episode because there was that leaked behind the scenes picture before the episode aired. Not even there. So there's like a whole sequence that's not in the episode anymore, and it's not in the deleted scenes either, I don't think. Companions, Graham and Yaz, did nothing. Graham was funny, Yaz was funny at times, and I liked the connection that Yaz had with Wilma. I'm going to call her Wilma. I'm not sure if that's her name, but that's what I'm going to call the Benny's, well, girlfriend, and then towards the very end of his life, fiance. And then widow. So, she went through a lot of phases. Yeah, I liked that he had a bit of a relationship with her, and I liked her horror when Wilma got chomped on. And then we focused on Ryan. If you watched my... I found a piece of paper on the floor, so I'm going to fiddle with it. If you watched my Spyfall Part 1 review, then you know I've kind of realised why people aren't the biggest fan of Ryan. And this episode was a big revelation. Big revelation for me. I didn't mind him in the beginning. I didn't mind when he, the Hopper virus got him and he started seeing the bats or whatever. I thought it was funny. It was everything he had with Bella, because he knew her for, what, a couple hours. And then when they teleported off to, like, back to the spa, he was just, like, down to, like, blow up the spa with her. Not necessarily help her, but wasn't trying to just stop her. And I'm like, Ryan, your friends and grandfather are trying to make their perilous journey back here. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why aren't you trying to stop her? Why do you not care? I mean, she's pretty, but really, Ryan, priorities. So yeah, I couldn't get behind him there, and I didn't really... Although their sort of scenes together were cute, I didn't buy that they had any kind of... I didn't really buy their romance. I could see them more being, like, friends with a little bit of a spark there, because, again, they knew each other for less than a day. I don't know. Supporting cast, which I haven't been talking about... I don't really talk about in Spyfall, because apart from Ada and Nor, which are basically companions, there hasn't been a lot in the way of supporting cast, whereas this one was kind of like, oh, here's a big group, and you watch them die one by one. Mostly in uninteresting ways. So, it was cool seeing so many people die at the beginning of the episode. Love a good death. Although when that guy got by the dreg in the steam room and that goo hit the wall, I immediately was like, well, that's just some slime someone's whipped up and thrown against a pane of glass, isn't it? I didn't really believe that it was any kind of bodily fluid. I know it couldn't have been blood, but I feel like I would have rather just not seen anything. Again, the way that bit was edited really weirdly. Who else was there? There was Kane, who I know from something. I don't know what I know her from, like the actress. And I liked her. I felt she was doing a good job with not great writing. Whatever her friend was, Norman. Let's call him Norman. I know that wasn't his name, but I'm going to call him Norman. His role was okay. He died pretty early on, off screen, without any real send off. So, did you see how disinterested I was? I was like, he's a very disinteresting character. Disinteresting? Is that an adjective? Benny, I liked, although he just stood outside to get Wilma's hat when there was very clearly an emergency going on. And when they took him, and it was like he had the oxygen tank, I was expecting there to be kind of, oh, the dregs are actually secretly really smart. They know he has an oxygen tank, and they deliberately took him, knowing he could survive in the atmosphere, to lure the others out so they could kill them. Because that seems to be their primal instinct, is to kill. And And I'm wearing a Doctor Who shirt today. I didn't even realise. Oh, that's convenient. I will say, when he does die, and he says, he's like, "Oh, what was the second question? Will somebody shoot me?" That was dark. I loved it. I love the way he said it as well. And I also really liked when Kane was like, "Don't worry, I killed them." Though, like, those were examples of how the writing and the performance, they were darkly, like, they were kind of humorous in a way. It was kind of funny the way that she went, "Oh, don't worry, I killed him." Obviously, it wasn't a reassuring thing, but she said it in a reassuring way. The explanation that they wanted to have fun with him wasn't an adequate explanation to me. I'm like, they took him all the way out there, didn't kill him, just dragged him around. And another editing problem. So he was on top of with the drag on top of the vehicle thing they had, and then when they leave and it cuts back to the top, there didn't seem to be any damage done to the top of the vehicle where it had gotten in, so you couldn't say that was the reason, and it obviously wasn't on the top anymore. And the way they edited it, it was just like, so what? Hyphen's death was because it was quite sudden. You could tell though when they like cut back to it, it was just her like going down, like, okay, she's gonna die. But obviously that was only a few seconds before she did, so it didn't really matter. Because I liked her as a character, I thought it was really funny. I really liked the actor. That was really funny performance, and I get why people did like the costume, but I kind of did like it. I'm not sure whether it was meant to be she was a species, like a different species we've never seen before, or if she was meant to be a futuristic furry. I kind of almost like the futuristic furry idea more. I like that idea more, to be honest. Furry representation in Doctor Who, because I think I put a tweet out being like it could have been the cat kind, that'd have been nice. But on the other hand, it is if that was what it was intended to be, it was kind of nice seeing a family TV show being like, this person dresses up as an animal, and that's okay. And her tail was cute. I liked her tail, and I thought her like whatever hat, hair, ear, whatever that thing. I thought that was really cute as well, and I liked that it was hyphen with a 3. Actually, she was probably one of my favorite supporting characters when I just pulled this out of my friend, and she was like something along the lines of whatever guests want to do in their own free time, we entirely support. And when they're like, when one of the questions the Doctor asks is, "Oh, where does the 3 come in?" and as they're like walking to the linen closet, she explains it while they're going in. I was like, I don't know, I find her amusing, and it's sad that she did. It's also unclear how much she was aware of. She obviously, apparently, it was just her, Kane, and Norman were the only members of staff on the entire spa, which was a bit odd considering how many. I know there's only like 40 customers or 40 residents, I guess, but 40 people staying there with only 3 staff members, one who like owns it, one security member, and like sort of, I guess, customer kind of face of it all. Who else was there? Wilma I thought was nice, and I kind of predicted that she was going to sacrifice herself for the greater good. But okay, she was nice. I liked her, and I like that. I think her last word was Benny. That's basically. Oh no, then there's Trixabelle. I didn't like Trixabelle. I'm just going to get it out of the way now. I like the actor. I think, again, she did the best with what she got. But I don't think she was directed very well. And I didn't like her character. I thought the thing with her and Kane being relatives, I thought that came out of bloody nowhere. And I didn't like it. I don't think it really amounted to much, if I'm honest. I don't know. Didn't really care. I don't know. I just didn't care about Trixabelle as a character. And I didn't when Kane just turns up at the end. I'm like, excuse me. You went into like a nest of dregs with one gun, and here you are with nothing, not even a scratch. Don't know. And how did she get back? Did she just follow the others? But the others were being followed by the dregs. So I don't know. I don't know. And all that's really left is the dregs themselves, which, well, one of the better parts of the episode. Visually, were really cool. I think, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Council of Geeks. Mentioned him a lot on my channel. Was the one who said that their costumes, especially toward the end, you could tell how limiting their costumes were, and they really needed to shoot them a bit better. If that wasn't Councillor Geese, I'm really sorry I didn't credit whoever said that. They were designed really cool. I loved the way their like teeth came out of their skull. And when you see it through the eyes of their sort of what became of humans, you can see the elements of sort of human there. I like their really inset eyes. That was cool. The problem with them though is they don't have any motives because they just sort of let's kill. Although I liked the scene where the Doctor and Trixabel, well, Trixabel was there. The Doctor tricks it basically into locking itself, the leader into locking itself into a cage. Although I thought more would become of locking the leader up. Locking the leader up helped him in no way whatsoever. But I like that there was they were obviously intelligent enough. They could understand English. I guess it's really stored in the recess of their memory banks or something, deep in their brain. I was going to say behind lobe, but that's not even a part of your brain. That's a behind lobe. What kind of GCSE psychology student am I? Like, they were cool villains for what they were, but they weren't interesting villains because they weren't meant to be. This is kind of a story that I think was meant to be sold on the characters and the dynamics, which it wasn't. Oh, sorry, almost forgot. Jay from In-Betweeners. Waste of a guest actor. Waste. His son was more entertaining than he was, although his son then buggered off while the spa was being invaded by Greg's. What is wrong with these characters? Although again, I saw some people saying that was like a younger version of Jay's character. I say Jay, that's who I think of him as. Jay from In-Betweeners character. But again, doing well with the predictions, like when I predicted the time zone thing with Spyfall, clocked that it was probably his son. Rating of Orphan 55. I'm going to give it a 6. It's a little bit lower than I thought I'd give it. The reason I give it a 6 is because it does have the dregs, it does have the Doctor. It's not all bad. There are good performances. I feel like everyone gives their best. It's a mediocre episode. But I think 5.5 seems too low, considering, again, you have the cool looking villains. The opening 10 minutes are quite good. I thought the end was good. I did like, although it was very sudden and not very well built up to, the Earth twist. And I liked... Actually, no, that's about all I liked. Thank you guys for watching. Ooh,